Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to properly dye your leather interior, and you can change the color with this method, and the dye that we're going to use will actually end up lasting longer than the factory OEM dye will, if you follow the steps correctly. Now we're going to be using a dye from a company called Luxury Leather Repair, and I highly recommend using this dye because it's water based as opposed to an oil or acrylic based dye, and this will actually soak into the leather, maintaining that nice OEM finish as opposed to adding a layer on top of what already exists. So the first step we're going to do with this is we're going to be using this product called their Dynamic Clean. When you buy a kit from them, it'll include everything you need off the bat. So you're going to take the Dynamic Clean as well as this Brillo pad that they include. It's the gray Brillo pad. And we're going to start by just spraying down the surface and working our way around. And this is just to clean off any dirt or debris that was on the leather, and we're just going to try and get it as clean as possible. For this next step, I'm going to be using the leather adhesion promoter, and this is just going to kind of serve as a primer and help the dye better adhere to the leather. And to apply this, I'm just going to be using a cheap Harbor Freight spray gun. I picked this up for like $10, but it makes this job a lot easier. Okay, so something I just wanted to show you guys is that I haven't been able to get the adhesion promoter down without having a little bit of streaks, and I think it's just because of how thin this stuff lays down. So one of the things they include in this is a sponge, because you can use a sponge as an applicator. But what I like to do is after I spray it down, if I notice any runs, I just kind of hit it with the sponge and just try and smooth it out. Now I think the runs will actually soak in, but I haven't let it get that far. So I would just recommend going over it with the sponge. Try and smooth the whole thing out if you see any runs. But for the most part, once you get this done, you're just going to want to go over it with a blow dryer to kind of help up the dry or speed up the drying process. Okay, so now that you have your base coat down of the adhesion promoter, we're going to move into the color coat. And when we go over it with the color coat, we're just going to want to do nice, light, even coats. And if you miss a spot, it's okay because we'll get it on the next round. And we just want to let it dry evenly, or completely rather, between each coat. And again, to speed that up, we'll just use the blow dryer. So now we're going to move into that first coat. Okay, so now that we have our first coat done and it's completely dried, we're going to go over it a second time, doing the exact same thing, a light coat. And as we go through the coats, you'll see it get fuller and fuller, and you pretty much stop when the color looks right to you. Typically, it's between 2 to 4 coats. Okay, so now after 2 coats, you can see that it is starting to fill in all the color. Obviously, there's a couple areas that still need to be gone over, so we're just going to do the exact same thing. But this time, we're going to put a focus on the creases. And if you look at the creases, you'll notice that a lot of times they get missed on these initial first coats, like right here. So the way we're going to deal with this is we're actually going to start with the other side, spraying from the back first to try and fill in those creases. And you know, the next 2 coats will just really make sure that they're completely filled in. And so yeah. Okay, so I've let the seat now dry for about 24 hours, and the next step is going to be going in with this leather protection cream, and you're going to just use a microfiber towel to apply it, and this will be the final step in the process. So you're just going to want to take the bottle, and you're going to start by applying a little bit in the place you're working on, and just slowly wiping it onto the surface. You're not going to really try and get it into the surface, just more so even coats along the top of the surface to spread it in. And this will just kind of help the leather or the dye stay better in place and protect it from scratching and things like that. And you're just going to want to work your way across every panel of the seat or whatever it is you're working on. Just get it on there. And this stuff goes a long way. And the company recommends you do this 2 to 4 times a year. So basically, whenever you do a good clean on your interior, it's recommended you use this stuff. And it goes pretty easily. But this is the final step. And once you have this, your seats are done and ready to be installed back in your car. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, leave a like, and comment if you have any questions below. Thank you so much.